Here we go again. It's Tuesday night, and we're with Nightcap with your host, Casey Kerr.
Hey there, and welcome to Nightcap. I'm Casey Kerr from FindYourRoar.com. And Happy New Year! Happy 2017. I hope you had a fantastic end of the year and you're all primed and ready to go for 2017, because I have a feeling that this is going to be the best year ever. And it's not just a feeling, it's an intention, it's a commitment, and I want you to make it for yourself with me right now. I am 100% committed to making 2017 my best year yet. And so it is. It really can be that simple. So what we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit of a taboo subject for some people. For people like me, it has always been a taboo subject for me. We're going to talk about setting, planning, and achieving your goals for this year. So if you just cringed or rolled your eyes or got a little anxious or felt a little agita, then this is definitely the place for you to be tonight, because I am not going to give you a whole bunch of tips and techniques and strategies for achieving your goals. What I want to talk to you about is if you're somebody who, like me, who has always struggled with setting goals, like the idea of setting goals maybe appeals to you, and you know you have to do it. You know that is what every successful guru, anybody who has what you want and who's doing what you want to be doing, tells you that they got there because they set goals and they created a plan to achieve those goals, and then they achieved them. And then when they fell short, they just kept working toward them and adjusting their plans. And it sounds great, right? And we know it works because we've seen it work with other people. But if you're anything like me, you've either procrastinated on the actual sitting down of the goal setting, or you've done some other things that have maybe not set you up for the kind of success that I know you're capable of, and you know you're capable of, right? So it's funny, when I was thinking about doing this today, my first thought was, but I'm not an expert at this. And then I realized, you know what? I don't have to be, because I am an expert in helping you to figure out what you're struggling with. Right? And I am an expert in teaching you how to work yourself through that. So let's do this together. When you understand the real reason why you struggle with setting goals, creating plans, and achieving goals, then you're gonna really have a shift. This is going to change for you, and your relationship to goals and goal setting is going to change. And it's going to turn into something that you know supports you, supports what you're working toward, what you're trying to attain, what you aspire to. And honestly, the practice is going to turn into something like a friend to you. And I know that sounds crazy, but especially if you have the kind of tumultuous relationship with this process that I have had and that I'm still truthfully working through, but this will help you, and I know that it will. So the real reason that you struggle with this process, if this is you, is not because you're lazy or undisciplined or uncommitted, or that you lack passion, or you don't have conviction, or that you don't want it bad enough. It's not any of those things. Now, I know you might be listening to me, whether it's live or later on, thinking to yourself, no, it's that, or it's one of those things. And maybe other people have told you that it's those things as well. But I promise you, it's not. It's not. So if you dread it, if you avoid it, if you've procrastinated doing it, or if you've actually created goals and a plan for it, and then you've failed to launch, then this is definitely for you, and it's going to make you feel so much better. That's really what I want for you, is I want you to feel better about this, because truthfully, this is what it's all about. The way that you feel about your life and about every single experience in it is so much more important than anything that you do or don't do. So really, everything that we're working toward, that you're working toward, that I'm helping you work toward, and that I'm doing for myself, is all about really impacting the way that we feel, because it's not just your plans that get you where you want to be. It's the thoughts that you have, and then the energy that goes behind them. And what creates that energy is how you feel. And how you feel moment to moment changes for so many of us based on what's happening outside of us, our circumstances. But the circumstances are created by your thoughts, by how you feel. So that's where you have to start, right? Okay, so if you're a great goal setter, you're somebody for whom this comes very easily, then there's something in this for you too, because you probably know, even though you don't need this personally for your own goals, you probably know somebody, maybe even love somebody who struggles with this and who has difficulty with it. And when you don't have difficulty with it, when you're the kind of person who can just say, boom, this is what I have to do, boom, 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 here's my plan, I'm going to do it, I did it, figured it out, this worked, this didn't, I'm going to change that, and I keep moving, and you keep moving, and you keep achieving goals, and you keep setting new goals. It might be really difficult for you to understand why there are those of us who procrastinate this, or who, I'm trying not to say, sorry, Nola. Then you might have difficulty understanding how people like us have difficulty with this and struggle to actually do it, or have trouble with it, or fail to launch it, right? So this is an opportunity for you to understand what's going on with them, where you can offer some insight to them, and even just give them compassion and help them to understand what's really going on for them. Because if it was as simple as just filling out a goal sheet and creating a plan and executing the plan for everyone, then everyone would be doing it. But there's a giant amount of the population who isn't doing it. And of that really huge population who isn't doing it, there's a really big population of people who want to do it, and who are aware of how important it is, and who are putting in the effort and torturing themselves over it. And so those are the people that I'm talking to and that I want to reach. So if you know somebody like that, share this with them, because this is going to help them too. So remember, you don't have to be a goal planning expert, because I'm not one. And I'm not even here playing one on internet TV. I am just telling you what you can do to make yourself feel better through this process, and what you can do to move through it, and to actually be able to put yourself in a position where you can start to take advantage of the tips and techniques and strategies that you've probably spent money on, or that, you have a great book and it sounded fabulous and you tried to do it, but you couldn't do it. Somehow it just didn't work. You tell yourself you couldn't find the time, or, you didn't know what you wanted to do. You weren't clear, wasn't the right time, any of those things. But in your heart of hearts, when there's a reason why you put off something, it generally goes deeper than not having the time to do it. There's a reason why you're resisting it. There's fear involved. And so all you need to be able to work through this is to be open to what I'm sharing with you. So open to me, and compassionate to you. Okay? So you're really smart. I know you are. I know that you are a brilliant, amazing being who is so filled with potential and purpose. And there's so much that you want to do, and so much that you want to accomplish. I know that's who you are, because that's who I am. That's who is attracted to me. Those are the people that I work with. Those are the people, that I spend my time with. And so I know you're one of those people. So you know how important it is to set goals. You already know this. I'm not telling you anything new, right? We both know that. But I am going to play with a little bit of facts and figures to remind you why goal setting is so important, and to kind of up the ante here for you to actually sit with me through this whole half hour and work through this stuff. So let's do it this way. So people who, with written goals, are 50% more likely to achieve their goals than people without them. Only 3 out of every 100 people, oh my God, 3 out of every 100 adults write down their goals on paper. And when you share those goals with a close friend, a confidant, somebody that you trust, that's proven to increase your chances of achieving your goal. You know, because when somebody knows that this is something that you're going to do, you're kind of held more accountable to it, right? The world's most successful people agree that what you get by achieving your goals is not anywhere near as important as what you become, what you learn about yourself, right? During the process of actually putting yourself through this. 14% of people have a goal in their mind, but they don't write them down. And studies show that goals that are held in your mind like that are more likely to be jumbled up with all of the other thoughts that are running through your head every single day about what you have to do, what you haven't done, what's next, what might happen. And there are like 1,500 thoughts per minute that the average person is thinking. So even if you're thinking about goals, they're getting lost in that shuffle. And a Harvard study suggests that 83% of the US population don't have them at all. The act of writing down the goal is an incredibly powerful motivator because it taps into not just your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind. And it actually gets your subconscious mind participating in this process with you. And writing it down also forces you to be clear about it and doesn't allow you to be really vague, you know, about what it is that you want to achieve. And finally, most of the gurus out there who are experts in goal setting tell you that you need to carry your goals around with you all the time. Make it like a living, breathing document, a living, breathing entity that you develop a relationship with. And remember earlier I said to you that when you get to the bottom of why this is so difficult for you, that your goals in this process can actually become a nurturing, supportive process that is like a friend to you. So, you can carry it around in your bag, in your back pocket. You can laminate it on a little card and have it with you all the time. And that will bring you closer to it. So you've heard this research before. Some of it, bullet points of it, something akin to it, because again, you are really smart and you know your stuff. But if it was as simple as knowing it, then you wouldn't be still looking for ways to get better at it and to finally find something that is going to help you to make this process a consistent part of your life and a tool that you use to help you achieve what you want. So if you've been working, for years or for longer than you would like, for say longer than whatever period you set your goals for. So let's say we do this on a yearly basis. If you've been working toward the same kind of general goals for a couple of years, a few years, or even more than that, then chances are you are having a problem with this and you're experiencing some of the stuff that I'm about to talk to you tonight. So if this has been going on for a year or over multiple years, or maybe you've plateaued and you kind of can't get moving again, then what happens, as you probably well know, and as I've experienced myself, is that it becomes very demoralizing. And that's the point at which you don't want to talk about goals. You don't want to talk about it. You probably don't even want to think about it because it makes you feel bad about yourself. And let's face it, when you feel bad about yourself, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do the thing that makes you feel worse about yourself. So but you still can't give up. You know you can't, because you're here looking for this information. So that's why you're here. You're trying to find a way to make it work, and I want to help you. And it doesn't matter whether your goals are related to your business, your career, your relationship, finding your soulmate, being a better parent, creating more wealth and abundance in your life, managing your weight, or any of those things. It doesn't matter what your goals are. It's the same process that gets in the way no matter what. So if any of this sounds familiar, then you likely have or are suffering from what I like to call, or what I always talk about, as negative programming, and what I'm really starting to call a down perspective. This down perspective creates behaviors in you that make planning and goal setting and goal achieving really hard. It makes it so difficult. It's causing all the stuff that we just talked about, the procrastination, the failure to launch, the getting overwhelmed by it. And there are universal programs. There are universal programs that make up this down perspective, right? There's perfectionism, so that you're in a position where you think that you have to do things perfectly. Something never seems totally right to you or ready to you. You can always see flaws in it, and you're so afraid to fail. You so don't want to be judged or rejected that you feel like if you can just fix all the flaws before you launch, you'll be good. The problem is it causes you to procrastinate and prevents you from forever actually executing, or to executing in a way that allows you to feel comfortable doing it, knowing that you can, fix the tweak, you can tweak it and make changes and move on, right? There's another universal program called defeatism, where you actually feel like, what's the point? What's the use? I'm never going to get there. This is really impossible. What I want is so far away from where I am now. How can I possibly do this? There's discounting. Discounting is when you look at where you are now and the goal that you have, and the gap seems so huge that you can only see the gap. So whatever progress you make toward it, you think, I'm not going to celebrate that progress until I actually get this goal, until I actually am at that point. This is not the destination. This is just a little step along the way. But when you do that, you never get to feel the success. You never get to feel successful. You always feel like you're failing or starting over, or, haven't begun yet, you're stopped. Another one is pessimism. And by pessimism, I hate to use this word because everyone has their own connotation of it, but pessimism generally means that you are a hoper. You're not expecting, you hope. You worry a lot, you're anxious a lot, you're always trying to avoid the worst case scenario. You're afraid of the worst case scenarios. You feel like, if it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Or, of course that's going to happen. Why wouldn't it happen to me? And a lot of people who carry around a pessimistic approach to life or perspective or filter think that they're being really savvy. They think that they kind of have, a one-up on life by approaching it that way. But really, it just constantly makes you feel like you're behind the eight ball and you never feel successful. And because you don't expect things to go your way, you kind of always have some sort of a plan B in mind, always a failback, a fail-safe, so that you're more inclined to settle for what you don't want because you don't want to be left empty-handed, versus going for what you really want, knowing that you don't have it now. You haven't lost anything if you don't get it on the first try. You just keep trying. Totally different attitudes, right? And another one is the why perspective, where you tend to ask the question, why? Why is this happening? Why do I feel this way? Why am I like this? Why did I make that decision? Why did they do that to me? Why am I not good enough? Why doesn't get you anywhere. It gives you information, but a lot of times that information actually creates more stress, more blame, more fear. The questions that you really want to ask are, how? How can I do this? How can I shift this? How can I change this? How can I move forward? So each of these programs, whether you have one of them or several, and typically you don't just have one, you have several. And if you're like me, you have all of them. And that sucks, because that means that you're working 10 times as hard to get like a fraction of the results that other people are. And on the one hand, that is really painful to hear. But on the other hand, when you realize that all you need to do is to start creating change within these programs and manually shifting your perspective, and that there are ways for you to permanently change your perspective so that you have what I call an up perspective, that gets exciting, right? And as soon as you're able to do that, then you're not as vulnerable to your fears and doubts. Because what happens when you run these down perspectives, you're running all of life is coming through this filter. So you're seeing everything from that perspective. And it feeds your fears. It feeds your core fears of fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing yourself in others, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. There are more, but that's probably enough to get us started, right? So what happens is these down perspectives feed those fears. And then those fears, those core fears, become bigger than your core desires, your core values, the things that you want most for yourself, for your family, for your community, for the world, right? They prevent you from being able to be your best. So, and the one thing that all of this has in common with the goal setting that we're talking about is that they all cause people like us, people like me and some of you who have these down perspectives, they cause us to set incredibly unrealistic expectations. And how do you know it's an unrealistic expectation? Well, it's unrealistic if if everything has to be perfectly aligned in order for you to achieve this. It's an unrealistic expectation if you've been carrying around the same big, gigantic goal for the past year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, and you still haven't reached it. And you tell yourself you're chipping away at it. You're almost there. You're getting there. But in your heart of hearts, you're really frustrated with where you are. Those are some of the ways that you know it's an unrealistic goal. So realistic also, or realistic means that you are factoring in real life. You're factoring in the fact that you're going to be sick sometimes and that your kids are going to be sick, or that something's going to come up with your husband or your partner or your spouse or your parents or your family, your friends. You're factoring in the fact that sometimes you just don't feel like doing the shit. You just feel like relaxing. And you need that. You need to relax and recharge, right? So when you set unrealistic goals for yourself, unrealistic expectations, you are setting yourself up to fail. You are setting yourself up to judge yourself. You're setting yourself up to disappoint yourself. You're setting yourself up for rejection. So you're actually feeding more of these core fears by setting up these unrealistic expectations. Why do you set unrealistic expectations? Because you know how fucking awesome you are. You know all the potential that you have within you. You know how much brilliance you have to bring to the world. You are just brimming with the stuff that you want to do and what you can bring to the world. And so that causes you to look at your talents, your skills, your experience, your desire, your dreams, and you say, I can do this. I can totally do this. I believe in myself. You're really believing in future you under perfect conditions, right? So you're setting these really high goals for yourself that have to have totally perfect best case scenarios in order for you to attain them. And here's the really ironic part. The programming that I just described to you, the discounter, the pessimist, the defeatist, the perfectionist, the wire, all of those programs cause you to be running such negative thoughts through your mind, and like really stirring up all these fears, that you're creating worst case scenarios. So now you're setting yourself up for even more obstacles and challenges and fears and doubts when you go and work toward these unrealistic expectations. So you've just totally screwed yourself, right? You're trying to be ambitious and trying to motivate yourself and inspire yourself by recognizing how awesome you are and what you're capable of, but you're trying to do it in such a one big fell swoop that you're setting all these other alarms off that you're not even aware of. So what happens is you set these giant unrealistic expectations, then you react to them. Right? You either get overwhelmed by them, you get panicked by them, or you run away from them, or you start to work toward it, and then you fizzle out. You fail to launch because, frankly, they were too hard to keep up with. Right? Any of this sounding familiar? And what I want to say is, and this is going to sound a little hypocritical, but follow me, okay? Because all goals are possible. Because everything is possible. Everything that you believe you can attain, you can. You can. There is no question about that. But you've got to realize that you have to be realistic about the timing that it will take and what kinds of support you need, what kind of resources you need, what kind of capabilities you need right now in this moment. Not what are you capable of learning and growing into, but right now, in this second, what are you capable of? Because if you're stretching past that to a point where you don't have the resources or the support and you haven't given yourself the time, what's going to happen? The goal isn't going to happen. And then what happens after that is you beat yourself up for it, because now that's proving to you that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not as talented as you thought you were, that this isn't going to work, or that you're on the wrong path, or that this isn't the right time. It feeds your excuses, right? Which again leaves you without being able to achieve your goals. So what can you do about this? Okay. I'm not going to give you a big plan on how you can set goals. I'm going to make this really simple for you, because you, like me, have to build a little bit of a stronger foundation for you to stand on so that you can get out there and do this in a bigger way. You got to give yourself timing, right? You have got to pay attention to how much time that you actually have in a day, in a week. How much time do you have to devote to this? What are the other priorities that you have to schedule around so that you're setting realistic expectations for yourself? So look at the stuff that you really, really want in every area of your life and ask yourself, what is one step away from that? And what are some things that I can do that I like doing, that I want to learn how to do better, that I have the resources for and the capabilities for right now? Even though it's a stretch, it still has to be an expansion and a stretch from where you are, but it's just one single step. That's it. Okay. Number 2, detach from the results, because it's not the results of what you get that count. It's the process that you go through. It's what you learn as you go through the challenge, who you become, how you grow, how you feel during that process. Focus on building the characteristics, the personality traits that are going to be so integral to this, like patience. I always knew I was impatient. I just didn't know how fucking important it was. It's critical, okay? So if you're struggling to get what you want to get and you know that you're impatient, start there, right? Patience, presence, being grounded in the moment, being in the moment where you are. That is huge. Being in your body. Focus toward working toward the results and not the results, sorry, the working toward them, the process of it, right? Who cares if it fizzles, if it's successful? The results don't matter right now. It's the process that matters. Number 4 is accept that who you are and what you're doing right now is truly good enough. It's truly good enough. It is enough. Because when you don't feel that way, you're creating more of those negative feelings that bring on more of the negative circumstances. So you got to get to a place where you're okay and you fully accept who you are and where you are. And once you do that, doesn't mean you're settling for it. It means you accept it lovingly as a part of you. And then from there, you can move forward. And the fifth thing is get a partner who can do this with you, who can give you some perspective and help you see how much you actually are progressing and help you celebrate that. And somebody who can help you see whether or not this is a realistic goal that you're setting for yourself. And does this time frame work? And do you have the resources you need and the support that you need? You'll be surprised at how helpful somebody else can be in this process. I had it happen to me today with my lovely Nola telling me, no, you're trying to go way beyond what your capabilities are at this moment. You're still stretching and you're doing so much, Casey. And I was like, what? I don't think I'm doing so much at all. I feel like I'm not doing enough. And I was like, oh, I just said it, didn't I? So think about that. All right. So we are just about out of time, probably a little over. Sorry, Rachel. My team on the other side. Love you. So what I want to finish up with is those are the 5 things that you can do to really turn this around for yourself. Remember that these down perspectives are what is keeping you from the life that you want, from being the person that you want to be. So you can change those. You can change them in the moment and you can change them overall. If this has helped you and if this resonates with you in any way, please share it. Please let me know what you've liked about it. Connect with me on Facebook. Send me your comments and send me your questions. And if you know somebody for whom this would be really helpful advice, share it with them. Send it to them. Let's spread the word, spread the message. There are lots of us out there who are here to change the world if we could just get the hell out of our own way. And I'm here to help you do that. And again, if this has helped you, then let me know. I have a free gift that I would love to give you that takes you into more detail about all this and gives you some hands-on things that you can do to get yourself into that feeling place. I don't have all the technology up and running for that yet, so we're still doing it the old-fashioned way of send me an email, Casey, C-A-S-E-Y, at findyourroar.com. And in the subject line, put free gift -goals. I hope this was helpful to you, and I am just so thrilled to be able to share it with you. I love you, love you, love you. I believe in you, and you are here to do amazing things. So trust yourself and believe in yourself. #BIY. Mwah. Casey Kerr out. Cheers.